People have spoken up and down the country, spoken about Tottenham, but I think that it's really time for people from Tottenham to start talking about Tottenham and really owning our story and really owning that struggle.
They call this the golden hour. I'm sure many of you know about how PR works. In the immediate moment after an event like that, they have a chance to fix a story which will then circulate and grow like a snowball rolling down a hill. And in that golden hour, that is when the lie that Mark Duggan had fired his gun at the police was established and parroted and repeated over and over and over and over again. And I think we need to understand that these things don't happen by accident, actually. It's not simply a question of it being a mistake. These things are techniques for making information meaningful, and we need to learn from that.
I'm upset, there's the guy I know him is a long time ago, but he's a very good guy, no any gangster, no any too much help, you like it, to respect any people.
I didn't know if he had a gun or not, but no, for sure he's not that type of person that would do that.
He's very, the good guy. He's helping, He's like it, to helping the people. He's helping me and my cousins.
He's a family man, loved his kids. He really liked looking after people around his area. He's a humble person, friendly person, He was like a big brother to a lot of young people growing up. He looked out for me and other people in the neighbourhood.
2 shots were fired by one CO19 firearms officer. A post-mortem examination concluded that Mr. Duggan was killed by a single gunshot wound to the chest. The bullet lodged in the MPS radio is a police-issue bullet fired from an MPS Heckler & Koch MP5. There is no evidence that the handgun found at the scene was fired during the incident.
What aggravated everyone is the fact that they covered it up, and then when the truth got revealed, they still tried to cover it up. They're trying to take us as idiots, basically.
Where's the taxi driver? Has he even been...
Good point.
The taxi driver ain't even said nothing.
Cab driver is still alive. There were 2 officers involved, so you have 2 witnesses. Maybe not the most credible witnesses, but you have 2 witnesses. What are the IPCC waiting for?
"25 years ago, I was one of those youths on Boardwalk Farm when Mrs. Jarrett got killed, and we was very, very angry that the police had killed a black mother.
They're the high-profile cases. You speak to people on the street, loads of people get stopped constantly.
People are angry at the police because the police are the ones harassing them on a daily basis. Harassment, intimidation, humiliation. From when you're a little kid, it's happening to you. I've seen it happen to old men, I've seen it happen to little kids. And it's something that the people I work with who aren't from poor areas, they just don't understand. They don't even believe you. And you say, you've seen a boy getting choked up against the wall and he's only 13 and being terrorised by the police and being humiliated, which is the biggest thing.
I spoke to one kid who said, yeah, the policeman, he stopped me and told me to open up my bum crack so he could do a search, just to humiliate the kid, on the street.
I know it doesn't have nothing to do with the killing and rioting and stuff like that, but it adds up to it, because the carnival was around June time.
They shut it down because they said they couldn't police it, but they have enough police to police every football match and everything else. But once in a year we can't have our carnival. People are really frustrated with the police because they neglect us. A lot of people feel like crimes that happen to them in their community aren't dealt with, but yet they have more time to harass our own children, our own parents.
I worked for 5 years in Northumberland Park at a community project for children and young people,
and the harassment they experience from the police on an almost daily basis was shocking, really. And they, you know, stopped on the street and searched children as young as 10. We had one come into the adventure playground, really upset. They felt humiliated, they felt powerless, they were made to feel worthless.
There's stopped a lot of people around there, because of the area.
Everyone gets stopped, man, for no reason. Like,
before they used to stop, you give your receipt, so next time you get stopped, you won't get searched, you know. But now they'll just make up a section or reason to search you just because you're ethnic minority.
Racist.
The racist, just tell him he's racist, the police.
I was outside the shop and the police came over, like, under section 16 stop and search. And then they put the cuff on me, and start dragging me around and saying to stop, and he really squeezed the uncuff tight on my hand.
Many times I got involved to say, no, I saw everything, you know, like that person wasn't doing nothing and all that, and then they try to arrest me.
They'll be driving past you and everyone in the car or the bully van or whatever it is, they're just staring at you.
Stare at you when you're walking down the street.
As if you're some criminal or something like that.
We feel like we're being treated like big time criminals, and I think it's that suppressing people and not making them feel normal. Because every time you get stopped and searched, it imprints in you even more. That's what you're supposed to be.
How many times have you been stopped by the police?
Like in a day, you know, I'll be stopped like about 3 times for the day.
Just because I never wanted to give my name, they tried to put me in handcuff, and one of them tried to headbutt me. And then they put me in a car, and then they're saying, oh, what, you part of a gang? You can see I got my college books and everything in my bag. Like, come on, let's come out of college. And then they held me in the car for like 20 minutes. They threatened me to take me to Essex, dump me there, try to pin something on me, saying that, oh, this phone's stolen, this phone's stolen. No, it's not. All right, we saw you selling drugs. I'm like, and they're the same people that stopped me a few months after. I'm eating, they had a gun unit around me, and I'm like, I'm not moving. I'm not putting my hands up, nothing.
They came, they chopped on him, say he had a knife. No identification, nothing. Started to beat him. Other people saw what happening. They didn't show any badge, they weren't plain clothes. No one knew what was going on. I mean, his friends saw him being beaten on the floor and dragged in from one corner to the other. So they went in and started to retaliate. It was a nightmare. They beat him so bad I had to take him for treatment. He had a broken hand and he was covered in all bruises. Bruises were even infected. I had to bring him back to the hospital. Even my daughter, which was 8 months pregnant, was pushed to the ground by one of the officers. And that's when I hear that everything really kicked off real bad when they saw my daughter fell on the floor. The judge even said if my daughter wasn't at the spot at the time, she wouldn't have been pushed down by an officer. My son was given 21 months.
Should have done by law. Remove the officer who murdered Mark Duggan from duty and put him under pending investigation.
A police officer locked his dog in a car and they said he must be dismissed immediately because the dog died. Now, I've got nothing against dogs. But are you trying to tell me that a person's life is worth less than a dog?
I ask myself, what happened to David Lammy? This family has been injured, someone's been killed. He as the MP, why didn't he go see the family as well as the police and bring them together and talk and, you know, find out what's going on, what justice are they going to get?
I was speaking to people who'd been on the earlier demonstration, and the frustration, you know, they were treated with total disrespect by the police. The family got nothing from the police, no support, no contact,
treated with disdain, again, as if you're worthless, as if you don't count in this society.
The police, like taunting them, they're there for, what, 5 hours? And then, you know, this riot starts, and then it goes like wildfire throughout the country.
Some girl went up to her and they pushed her to the ground, and that's what sparked off all the riots.
She was just there because she wanted her voice to be heard. Everyone ran, she didn't. Group of officers, I think like 4 or 5, surrounded her. Police just literally numerous times hit her.
It's a girl! Look how he's dealing with her! It's a fucking girl! It's a fucking girl!
They were like going for innocent people that weren't involved, just sitting in the bus stop waiting for their bus. A group of women just there, 2, 3 police officers went forward to like push them, and that's what got people even more angry. 1, you can't put your hands on a female. 2, she's not doing nothing, she's waiting for a bus.
My youngest son, who was 14, got a photo, text sent to his phone of a police car burning on the high road. We thought we might as well come and have a look and see what was going on, really. That sort of thing doesn't happen often at the bottom of your road.
By the time I got there, the car was just starting to burn, and it was right in the middle of the high road. I don't know how it got up there, why it had been left there.
There's a line of police across here, basically. They had another line on the north side, just where the shops begin, where you can see that McDonald's sign. So they're basically positioned to protect their police station, from what I can see of it all.
Couldn't have been more than 100 yards away from where the car was burning. And for some reason, they just stood there and watched it burn.
Cars were still driving past. The police just didn't do anything. They didn't stop the traffic coming through. They didn't try and move the crowd away from the burning car. They didn't try and put it out. It just, nothing. They were just stood there watching it all.
And as it was burning, there was a second car that had had its windows smashed. People pushed that out into the middle of the road and then set fire to that.
And it was almost comical. You could see one of them was trying to look for a lighter and they didn't really know what to do with it.
It probably took 15 minutes from them pushing it out into the road to it finally catching light.
So then there were 2 police cars burning, and still the police were doing nothing. I said to my son at the time, why didn't the police just drive their cars away? Why did they just abandon them open in the middle of the road?
I kind of got the feeling that the police had a strategy to let it happen.
We were just looking up towards Booth Grove end of the high road, expecting another line of police on horses, police in vans, and none of that happened.
I was in Hackney. We watched police vans left, right and centre flying out from our boroughs towards Tottenham.
So it wasn't as if other police were not turning up. They just didn't seem to be using them.
The fire station, again, is like just under the bridge over there, 100 yards up the road. They could have almost run a hose from there and put the fire out. And I really don't understand why that didn't happen.
When I came out at 10:30, this was, the fires were raging. There was no rioters, looters, only people with cameras taking photographs.
The first time I really saw a fire engine was after the bus was set alight.
There were several fire engines going up towards the fire, but the police did not let them through to out the fires.
They could have easily come out. There was a few, like I say, there was people hanging around. But if a fire engine had come out, they would have made way for it, you know.
Now, to me, that was a let it burn policy. Whether to show that they needed more police or because it's Tottenham, let it burn. But the thing they didn't bank on was that as fire do, it attracts moths. They didn't expect the moths to be all throughout the country. Right? The whole country started to burn. Now, had they let the fire engines through to out those fires, I honestly don't think that the pictures that went out attracting people would have gone out. The fire would have been put out. The shops that were burnt up this end of Tottenham was burnt because of the cars and the bus.
When nothing happened then, people started getting a bit more confident, and that's when windows started going in.
You had huge wheelie bins full of burning materials being pushed into the police lines. There was the odd Molotov cocktail.
Then some people started to try and break into William Hill's on the corner. And I think the solicitors next door as well. I heard afterwards that was the police solicitors.
A few of us went round the back to shout up to people, but there was a fire in the solicitors and it was spreading to William Hill, and these are the people living above, just to make sure everyone got out. The police solicitor is the one solicitor you get to talk to if you don't have a solicitor or don't have another number. It's the one the police give you, who will, tell you to plead guilty or whatever it is, but not really represent you very well. And in fact, they're seen more as doing the policeman's job for them. That's why they got hit.
The police weren't doing anything. And it surprised me because earlier on that afternoon, Tottenham had a big football match, loads of police around. I don't know where they all went.
Contrary to what the media's been telling everyone, lots of the small shops got left alone. I know there's one kind of awning that got ripped off one of the shops just further up the road, but a lot of people started shouting out, stop it, leave the small people alone.
The majority of businesses, someone knows them, so certain business didn't get touched.
There was people with their dogs and their kids coming down to have a look. There was older people, younger people. Everyone was chatting to everyone and sort of talking about what was going on. There was no threatening atmosphere.
Ordinary people on the street, and there were a lot of them, weren't in any way targeted or intimidated.
There was literally hundreds of Hasidic Jewish people were out on the streets, mostly on the south side of the police lines, and they were giving out bread.
It's a nice kind of community feel, like, it's late, people must be a bit hungry. They bought bread down from their shops, and I thought that was kind of sweet.
I got back to Tottenham at around 12 o'clock. The first thing I noticed was there was loads of people on the street. Like, you're not used to seeing that many people out in Tottenham at 12 o'clock. I didn't see any rain yet. It was just people in general just out and about. There was loads of Turkish boys, there was loads of Somalians, Africans, Jamaicans, white guys, Irish guys, Polish. It was like the whole of Tottenham was out. I see grandmas, I see granddads, I saw like little kids. It was kind of like a party, like a carnival kind of atmosphere. It was a bit strange.
The police by this time had pushed up to Bruce Grove. They'd seen much more of them. Shortly after that, they were coming under some attack from the people there.
They were just standing still, to be honest, just taking what was being thrown at them at the time. As the night wore on, the protesters' presence started growing and growing. That's when the proper riot. The police come out, the horses came out. The people at the front line that were confronting the police were throwing stones, throwing bottles, throwing bins, throwing chairs, whatever they could find, basically, just pelting them.
The atmosphere was crazy. It's like being in a football match, Everyone cheering, chanting, no justice, no peace. Rest in peace, Mark Duggan. The people that were holding it off were the people that were there from the start till, I say, 3, 4 in the morning. So I respect that. Tottenham stood up, dropped whatever problems they had with other people in the neighbourhoods and all that, and became as one. Since then, you haven't heard any violence between each other, any crime, black on black crime or whatsoever.
There's one of those small little unmanned police stations on Tottenham High Road.
That's the first time I saw people actually saying, let's burn this building, this is the police building, this needs to get burnt and this needs to get smashed. When the shops started getting broken into, it was when, people were running low on ammo and needed some glass bottles.
When Iceland got broken into, and a guy came out with a huge crate of wine bottles, I think they were, and before we got 20 yards, a lot of them, he'd had stuff looted off him as well, and half the people were going towards the police lines and chucking 4 bottles of wine at the police because it was ammunition, and half the people seemed to be going the other way and opening them and drinking them.
From what I saw, I couldn't account for every shop that had been broken into and the reasons behind it, but I definitely to see a lot of people saying no, don't smash that shop, smash that one, do you know what I mean? And people actually, boys actually saying, no, you're not going to break into that one. If you want to smash a shop, smash that one.
All along the kind of riot zone, going up the high road, as I kept pushing people back, there's loads of bystanders who were basically supporting what was going on, who weren't actively involved themselves, but if there's anything knocking around, the people would pick it up. A mixture of basic necessities and anything else you could get your hands on.
I see people taking foods, washing powders and stuff like that to provide for their family, nappies.
Yeah, obviously there was looting, but I saw a woman with a big packet of toilet roll. She was really happy she got this toilet roll. And, this is a poor area, Tottenham. A lot of the smaller shops here weren't touched.
The pattern turned into fight the police as much as possible, and then when the ammo starts running low, they take their opportunity and they charge.
He was there to get his voice heard, but he was just there, standing there. He slipped or something like that, and then that's how he got caught. He was telling me that how they were dragging him across glass, and they started taking little hits on him, knee to the face, stuff like that. And that's when he was screaming, "I can't breathe." He had blood all over his face, you know. Once they took him in the back of the van, they covered him so he couldn't see, and they was just hitting him. He was saying things like how the death of Mark, they were happy. He was getting angry, but he couldn't do anything because he was handcuffed.
When the crowd reached Aldi, that's when they found the building site, and that's where the crowd held the police for a long time. Shopping trolleys were pushed out into the road so that the horses couldn't get through. That was what really broke the crowd, was the horses. Once the shopping trolleys were covering the roads, that made it almost impossible for the horses. And bins were set alight, and there was a wall of fire, which also slowed down the horses. They didn't like that. The boys felt like they were actually doing something. They felt empowered.
People had obviously left the high road to go up to the courts and the probation service, and if you see the courts now, all the court windows are boarded up, and the probation service was broken into, and it looks like someone had tried to set fire to it.
When it was kind of looking a bit drastic for the police, like it wasn't looking good for them all, they flew the helicopter down really, really low, like it must have been about 15 feet from the ground, straight at the protest, and that blew up like loads of smoke and loads of dust and all the ashes and embers and all the fire that was around, just blew in our faces. That's how we lost a lot of ground as well in the police.
People that were burning things down, that was just heartless, to be honest. I say it to this day, like they weren't from here or they didn't know why people were standing up to the police. That's how Allied's carpet got set on fire, because they were all the way back. When I got there, a friend of mine was saying, if you get smashed it in, don't set it on fire. 2 minutes later, it was just all in flames. Someone just went inside to evacuate people. He risked his life for people that he doesn't even know.
I personally think a lot of people are angry and they don't know why. This is why it seems like such a random act. Random acts of violence, random things being set on fire. And a lot of the time it is. A lot of the time there's no way anyone can justify. You can justify yourself why you set this shop on fire. And you look back and you think, maybe that was wrong, I shouldn't have done that. But I was angry.
To be honest, they could have sent in a couple of hundred cops and they could have cleared that area, but they didn't do it.
They just offered 10 million for regeneration. We don't want it. We just had that for Tottenham Hell. But do you know what? The local people get excluded. We don't get none of the jobs. We see outsiders come in to run the projects.
I respect what they done to go rob it. Someone told me they went to go apply for jobs. They asked, like, where do you live or what area? Once they said Tottenham, they don't get back to you.
They pay little kids in Thailand silly money that they barely manage to eat food off. And we have to pay mad money compared to that, and people can't afford that, and it's pushed in young kids' faces, teenagers. All the models are teenagers. Chipmunk, N-Dubs, Wretch, they're all popular singers and they're from London, so a lot of Londoners like them. They're models, they're sponsored by Adidas and Nike and all of these. Chipmunks from Tottenham. People look up to them and think, oh, I'd love to be able to wear trainers just like Chipmunk. It's too expensive, and that's why you end up getting people robbing it all.
The looting and the rioting, for the same reason, basically. Just get rid of some anger, really. Like, I say personally, that evening I went to bed the most stress-free I'd been all year. I felt like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders, and I know a lot of other people did.
We support those kids 100% because when we were growing up, we had to do the same thing because the government and the police did the same thing to us then.
Out of our flat to join, and my son's got no shoes on.
Let's have a look.
He's got no shoes on because we were so in a hurry to get out, and we left a cake in the oven.
No justice! No justice! Who are the racists? Police are the racists! Who are the racists? Police are the racists! Who are the criminals? Police are the criminals! Next week! Police are next week! Who killed Mark Duggan? Police killed Mark Duggan!
I'm speaking on behalf of the 100 Flowers Cultural Association. Most of its members are Kurdish and Turkish. Contrary to the claims put forward by the media, Turkish and Kurdish people will not stand on the side of the establishment. and they will stand on the side of those brave kids who fought the cops who are out there on the front lines enforcing this unequal, unjust, racist, capitalist society.
I would like for us to remember that there are 56 families who are homeless. I would like for us to remember that there are children in Tottenham who will be in court or who are in court.
We've got to get organised. So the next steps now are the defence campaign.
It's time for everyone to just come together, because there's still no justice. Still no justice. I think we just need to start moving up and making sure that they can hear us even more, you know.
In the short term, there's three things we need to do. One is to get justice for Mark Duggan and find out what really happened. Secondly, the families that were all burnt out of their homes, we need to support those people because they're ordinary working class families that come from Tottenham that have lost everything and need supporting. But thirdly, huge amounts of people are going to be pulled in. A lot of them are going to be innocent. The police will know they're innocent, but they will be pulling them in on fishing expeditions and trying to get names of other people. And that is going to make things worse. A lot of people around here are going to be serving jail sentences and they need our support.